Thank you for staying with us. Now, the informal economy continues to be relatively unprotected because of the flawed notion that they are untaxed due to their unregulated nature and as such do not generate direct income by way of taxes for the government. Now, joining us on the show to discuss further on this topic is a public policy and strategy specialist, Dr. Adebisi Araba. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on Your View.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, let's begin with understanding what makes a business informal.
Right. So a business is informal when it's not captured in the formal economic or econometric systems that calculate GDP, gross domestic product. It could be legal or illegal. But for the purpose of our conversation this morning, I believe we will be talking about the legal jobs that are informal. Informal because they are not registered, they likely do not pay taxes, their job security is unstable, infrequent. They also work at very small scales. They operate mostly cash-based. They also typically have low levels of organization. And they, as I said, they do not contribute to income to the public sector through taxes.
Yeah, so when we hear informal, and we hear that they don't pay tax, they are not, the government doesn't really recognize them as people, businesses that pay, to help fund the economy. But then I worry because at the end of the day, these informal businesses are made to pay levies. They are made to, the local government council is always breathing down on their neck. So that levy and that local government council fees that they pay, isn't that a form of paying tax to the government?
I couldn't agree with you more. It is. And again, when we talk about businesses being informal, it also means that they are not officially visible. And what I mean by that is the formal systems, whether it's the banking sector, government social support sector, if any exists, don't see them because there is no way of aggregating information on them. So you don't even understand what's going on in the sector, what their status is, whether they're growing or shrinking. You only have anecdotal sort of second to third party information to gauge the health and status of the informal sector. Of course, as you've rightly said, the informal sector, because again, they are not formalized, they are then exposed to the capricious nature of certain arms of government. You have local governments that impose ad hoc levies and taxes on, all the way from your market stall sellers to your artisans. Think of your shoemakers, your tailors. Think of even people who are working as construction workers or workers on construction sites who are paid wages, daily wages in cash. You have the taxes imposed by your Omoniles in Lagos, for example, and other cities. These are all levies that are not imposed by the formal government and financial services sector. Mm-hmm. And so what you're seeing is an extraction of taxes and levies that is not contributing to the economy in a formal way, and also, of course, exacerbates the precarious nature of the informal sector in our society.
Okay, so in Nigeria, we hear all the time that the informal sector takes up about 60%. And I'm wondering, for a country where your informal sector seems to be that big, what are the systems that government can put in place to formalize this informal sector? Find a way that their contributions towards economy is probably harnessed. Instead of just saying, well, they're informal sector, you can't see them, but if they make up such a huge part of your GDP, of your economy, shouldn't you be doing things maybe different from other countries, but being more local in your approach towards formalizing this sector?
I agree. And I think there are tools now that are within our reach and within our grasp that the government could use to support the informal sector. Again, it is not just about extracting taxes from or rent, so to speak, from the economic activities of these people. It's about ensuring that you bring them into the formal economic sector. How can you do this? One of the ways is by digitizing identification systems, improving access to financial products and services. You want to ensure that people aren't being left behind, or people aren't being shortchanged in accessing financial products and services. So simple things that the government can do, incorporating either the BVN's mobile phone numbers into ways that you can then provide additional services, services that are not necessarily at cost to the beneficiaries. One of the ways you want to do this is ensuring that, of course, we know that the majority of people working in Nigeria are involved in the informal sector. Even people working in the formal sector of the economy have a side gig in the informal sector. So if you just look at Instagram, look at most Instagram pages in Nigeria, there are people selling goods and services. What you want to do for a lot of these people is ensure that you are creating the enabling environment for their businesses to thrive, and hopefully they can cycle into the formal sector, but also creating a base for social services. So for example, how do you provide education and health benefits for people who aren't formally registered? We're still in the middle of a global pandemic. Last year, the government, federal and state governments, rolled out a few SME or MSME funds to support the micro and small, medium-sized enterprises. One of the ways that informal workers have lost out is that because they're not registered and they're not visibly recognized in financial systems, they're not able to register and access these funds. Of course, you can't access the funds if you can't show a credit history, if you don't have a bank account, if people can't, if you don't have a formal business address, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you use digital platforms, that creates improves the ease of registering your business. That is not a means of, exposing you to the predatory nature of rent extraction. Then you will start to see people, wanting to register because of the benefits that they will find. Of course, the other thing is government should improve the ease of doing business for everybody, right? So investing in infrastructure, investing in ICT infrastructure, making public transportation systems more affordable, improving access to affordable banking and financial services, improving the cost of data and broadband. These will stimulate the informal sector, but stimulate the entrepreneurial energies that we already see in the economy, and hopefully grow these businesses to the point where they find the right incentives to be formalized.
Okay, so I see some of these your solutions already being done in Lagos. I know that they have associations for artisans in different fields. I share a building with the fashion designers and tailors, and I see what they do and how that has been able to help them capture their taxes. But how much more protection can they give to this informal sector? Because it's not the same thing. You have, they're open to some touts, people around coming to their business places, name of different things, especially in the marketplaces, like, from the pictures that we just shared. They pay too many uncaptured taxes, and nobody protects them. The last time we had the delivery guys, the courier guys here on the show complaining about how exposed they are to this. So how much more, what can they do to get more protection and better benefits from government?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so you've just mentioned markets. Let's use markets as an example. Form follows function, and nature abhors a vacuum, right? So in typical markets in Lagos, talk about whether it's Mile 12 or K2 or Yaba or Onigbongo. When you look at these markets, they're typically organized around a central Iyaloja or Babaloja. So there is a central representative of the people who have concessions within that market. And what you find is people pay, whether it's weekly, daily levies, to these central coordinators of these markets. Now, governments need to be very, I would say, more nuanced in their approach. It's not about usurping these systems. I would say take advantage of what already exists, where the trust is. If people trust the Iyalojas more than the local governments, then why do you need to bring in a new system? Why don't you allow the existing systems, to create that, not just the system of collecting taxes, but providing support. I would say that the focus and the emphasis should be more on support than the extractive nature. After all, most people earn less than $1.90 a day. So a lot of people are already operating at the barest minimum. $1.90 a day, translates to about 30,000 naira a month, which is the federal minimum wage. And so we're not even at the point where we're saying we want to tax people earning $30,000. You don't want taxes to pull people into poverty. So what you want to do is create the social services that enables the entrepreneurial grit and vibe that these people already have that stimulates the economy. You want them to grow their businesses. So what you're going to do is take advantage of these existing systems. You don't want to
All right, Dr. Araba, for want of time, I'll have to interject and quickly ask these two questions before we let you go. And it is that how can the government design systems that foster the growth of businesses, especially for micro businesses, when you consider their collective contribution to the economy? And then what changes need to be made to the design and delivery of financial services so that it serves rather than burdens the sector?
Okay, one way is, I think we need to do more. So in Lagos State, for example, you have the LSETF, and that's a great start. I think more funds need to go in, more means and mechanisms to identify where entrepreneurs are, because it's not just about finance. If you catch my drift, it's not just finance. There are the soft side of things. There are the policies that impinge on entrepreneurs' abilities to grow. So if you could figure out first making access to finance affordable, but you can make formalizing your business a criteria to access affordable finance. But also, as you're making that formalization a criteria, make it easy to formalize businesses. Don't make it a labor-intensive process. So increase the ease of formalizing businesses. That's one. Two is, even as you support businesses, focus on the ease of doing business. How quickly you can register a business, what recourse people have to contracts, and how you enforce contracts, and how the legal systems can protect people. So if anybody feels harassed by either an Omonile or, say, an Iyaloja or Babaloja, or anybody, say some local government, some rogues in the local government have come and are harassing you in your business and have padlocked your shop, what recourse do you have for relief? There needs to be an easy means of seeking relief and redress through the court. So you need all these instruments to support businesses.
All right, Public Policy and Strategy Specialist, Dr. Adebisi Araba, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
And you too.